this is the second large illustration in the book. It's going to be a 3-page one, so this will be page 1, and when you turn it over there's going to be a spread. This is the Great Bat. It's only drawn in colour at the moment, but it's kept alive by pipes and tubes, and it's hanging upside down in a cave. So I'm drawing the crystalline structure from this specimen. So all that will be this kind of crystals, and then the neck of the bat is disappearing into there'll be an opening in the wall, and it'll go on onto the next illustration. So the head of the bat is going to appear in the following pages. I'm now finished with the first page. I used the sketch I made during the lecture that I went to, given by the Lancashire Bat Society, and they were showing a lot of pictures, and this was the wing shape that I sketched. So I've used that to do this overall shape. I also tried to use as many of my past sketches and drawings in this work, so that it's a bit more varied and it's a bit more me. So these wispy lines here, they come from this drawing I've made at a museum in Helsinki. I had these sort of green pencil lines here, and I shaded in between them, and I kind of quite like the effect. So that's where this came from. For the centerfold, I don't really have a great idea of the overall layout, but I have a sketch which is a bit vague at the moment, but I already have a drawing of the kneeling figure I've done from a model. So I'll work with this, and for the female face, that will be sort of in 3 phases. It will be the phase before she sort of gets all the knowledge transferred to her, which will be a youthful face, and it will be based on this drawing. And I have the same model drawn on a slightly larger scale, so I'll use that for the other one. That is the same person, but because she's so affected by the knowledge, in the middle illustration her face will all be covered in cracks. And for this, I'll be looking at these 2 sketches. I've done them during a live drawing session, and it was basically just, I felt like trying something different to do with the capillaries and or maybe riverbeds from the satellite, and yeah, sort of this branching out structure forming the outline, and all the shading done in the finer branching out bits. So yeah, this is what I have at the moment, and I'll try to pull all this together and come up with something reasonably balanced and good. Initially, when I started conducting my research into vampires, there were a lot of books similar to this one, with some very sultry vampires, with a fairly cliched depiction, very Klaus Kinski, and it definitely wasn't what I was trying to do. I was trying to avoid that, but I thought it would be important to look into this sort of your typical vampire illustration. I do rather prefer a slightly more cheeky and a bit goofy vampire illustrations. I think they have a lot more character. Again, completely inappropriate for my project, but as far as stereotypical portrayal of vampires goes, I think that's a lot more likable. There are some really good vampire images out there. Guillermo del Toro did a magnificent depiction of a vampire in one of his films. Again, not exactly what this book I'm illustrating is about, but not all vampire illustrations are cliched. I mean, this is the perfect example of that. When I was just preparing the outline for the structure of the illustrations, I had some ideas of sort of fold out sections and some sort of quite complex sort of printing elements where the illustrations would intertwine with the text, or they would be split into sort of one side of the page would have one depiction of the scene and the other half would depict the same scene but from a different perspective. So there were quite a few different ideas. I did play a lot with the idea of illustrations folding out, but thinking about the actual manufacturing process, I had to step away from sort of all these ideas because I don't think it could be done on a reasonable budget. So all these elements that were supposed to sort of fold out would probably best be reserved for maybe one-off hand-printed versions, but not for a mainstream book.